We are now broadcasting to the whole wide world.
Yep.
Hi. Tom, where do we find you in this moment?
I'm in New York City doing a Twitch stream with you.
Oh, excellent. And you're an expert Twitcher between your time in Nuba in Sudan and the conference rooms in New York City. You're like a real globetrotter,
Yeah,
keeping up on all the things.
that's absolutely yes.
Well, I'm very grateful to have you on. I have to be honest, I'm a little I do not get starstruck easily. In fact, maybe not ever. I just find myself really wanting to sort of bow to folks who are examples for humanity. And I put you at like the very top of that list, which I know might be an like slightly annoying thing to say because you're a little bit like, well, what else am I supposed to do but be who I am and do the things that I'm doing? So I am just so honored to have you here and so grateful that you are defining what it means to be human um, in a way that gives me such extraordinary hope in these very, very confusing times.
Thank you, Jenna.
So you are from the States, but you live in Sudan. Where are you from originally?
From Amsterdam, New York, which is about 4 hours north of here, up at the foothills of the Adirondacks, old industrial town.
How often do you get to Amsterdam, New York?
Gosh, I was there a few years ago. Before then, it was 2015. I mean, very rarely do I
Do
get
you
a
still
chance.
have family and friends in that area?
Yeah, I've got one brother there. I've got another two brothers that are a bit west of there in Ilion. Um, my parents don't live there anymore. My father's dead, and my mom is spending time with all my siblings. So, in general, no, my folks are not still there.
Tom, so what football team do you have an allegiance to?
Uh,
In Amsterdam, New York.
Amsterdam Rams, AHS Rams. That was my high school team.
Okay. Okay. What about the professional team? Because
Uh, we were
I'm always
Giants.
very fast a Giants fan. Oh,
Giants, yeah. We were
and
always Giants. We weren't Bills or Jets. We were Giants.
got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an Eagles fan, not that you asked.
Uh,
Oh, go birds. Go
yeah,
birds.
yeah. Tough game yesterday.
So do you watch sports where you live in Sudan? How do you stay connected to Americana, or is that something that's not at the top of your priority list while there?
No, I do. I can get, now we've got Starlink at the hospital. So we've got a decent internet
That's
connection.
a really big deal.
Yes, it is. Because before the internet was terrible. So now I can get some of the highlights. I've got some nephews playing college football. So I get some highlights on Sunday. I can download them and watch them. It's pretty cool. And I can keep up on the news
Do you keep up on the news?
a little bit. Yeah, I try to keep up as best I can. Not everything, but things that interest me, I do.
Yeah, understood. Okay, let me do just a quick table set on why Tom might be like the first star that has made me trip over my words. This is Dr. Tom Catena, who is from Amsterdam, New York. I don't know where Amsterdam, New York is. He grew up as a Giants fan. He also plays football, and he clearly has a large legacy of folks who play football around him. Um, he is the only surgeon. Take a deep breath before I say this. He is the only surgeon for 3 million people in Sudan's Nuba Mountains. He went to Brown, he went to Duke, total slacker. Then in 2008, he moved to one of the most remote war zones on earth. When civil war erupted in 2011, many expats in the region, almost all of them is what I'm being told, left. But Tom decided to stay, and I am going to read specifically what this sentence says. When bombs hit his hospital in 2014, he stayed. He runs the Mother of Mercy Hospital with no electricity, no running water, no roads. He earns $350 a month and is on call 24/7. He is married and has 2 adopted sons. And for 17 years, he's been the only thing between life and death for millions of folks. I am going to pause there and asked Jay to play a 4-minute YouTube video so that you can all get a greater sense for who Dr. Tom is.
This is a place that's been untouched by the West, like totally untouched by Western ideas, values, input. Totally different.
The Nuba Mountains are one of the most remote places in the world. It's between the Sahara Desert in the north and the Sud, or the world's largest swamp, in the south.
677 سنة جدود بسنة لما حكموا أفريقيا ذاته قويين اكتبوا قولوا في حياة هناك حياة كهف الناس بتاعنا تعبانة لكن نحن أدوية ما في.
They've had 30 or more years of war, so most adults have essentially spent their whole life in some phase of starting, during, or recovery from war.
When we first opened in March 2008, the needs were tremendous. Getting supplies in here is extremely difficult. Maintaining staff morale is extremely difficult. Maintaining the energy to keep taking care of people. There'll be 50 or 100 people show up at a time. These people have been pretty badly traumatized, and they've had a history that I just cannot relate to. I mean, trauma for generations. People here are survivors. No matter what you throw at them, they'll be knocked down, they'll get back up again, and they'll find a way to keep going ahead.
لأنه ترتم وكويس هسه وذاته كبير خلاص في العمر لو في تاني ترتم 2 أو 3 يكون كويس.
Like all of us, we have a limited lifespan, and he did not want to just have his life be committed to treat as many people as he can and then have it go away. He wants his legacy to be this fully functioning, self-sufficient, sustainable mission hospital.
Let's get out of survival mode. Let's start really thriving and moving forward. Let's think about starting our own training program. Start your own training program. When they finish, you've got a really reliable pool of people to choose from to carry on with your work.
الأيام بتغير ودكتور توم لو ذاته لو علمهم تعليم كويس يكون كويس.
I think the Nuba Mountains are actually a very hopeful place for the future.
Not only are we surviving, we are a leader in healthcare for not only the mountains, but for all of Sudan. It's a real partnership. We can't do anything here without people's help. And the way I look at it, and I think the way certainly AMH looks at it, I wouldn't see the donors as being somebody that kind of throws money at us. I see all these people as entering a partnership with us here and with the people of Nuba Mountains. Come and join us in this struggle, in this partnership. Be together with us. Help us out. We are working night and day to provide a good level of healthcare here. Come join us in that adventure.
Okay, so Tom, that was profound. Although did that just end early? I can't tell. So that was moving. And I wanted to just give some context to those folks who were watching where this is. So this is Tom, how do you even get there?
Well, it's complicated. So you can fly to Juba. We can't go to the north. We can't fly to Khartoum. We've been at war with them forever. So you have to fly to Juba. Usually fly to Kenya or fly to Addis. Then from Addis to Juba, which is the capital of South Sudan. Then from Juba, you get a small airplane.
Is this Juba right here?
That's
Juba?
no, Juba down in South. Go to South Sudan. Go down a bit.
Okay.
Down a bit more. Get to Juba.
No, but it's okay. Keep going.
So Juba's in the lower part of South Sudan. You fly there, and then from South Sudan, you have to get another airplane, usually a small little UN plane, single engine. You fly from Juba up to the Ida refugee camp, which is I'm not sure if Ida is there, but it's the northern part of South Sudan. Then from there, you go by road, and road is a relative term, from Ida up to Nuba Mountains. And just to give an example, when I was coming out, the doctor was coming to cover for me. Some of them took 3 days on that road. It's 120 miles. It took them 3 days to go from Ida to the hospital. They spent 3 days on the road, 2 nights. It's 120 miles, total mud, muck, rivers, everything else. I came out on a quad bike. I took a Land Cruiser for part of the way, and then a quad bike for another 8 hours. I was able to get out, but it was pretty brutal. It's isolated, really isolated.
So how do you get gear there? How do you actually get Band-Aids there?
Yeah, we have to buy everything in either Nairobi or in Juba. Then it's got to be put on a truck. It's got to go all the way through South Sudan, and it's a very narrow window because of the rainy season, everything just floods out. Everything turns to mud. So it has to come by road, winding its way through South Sudan. If it comes from Kenya, it's got to go Kenya through Uganda, all the way through South Sudan, up to the Ida refugee camp, then up into Nuba. And it
How do you
takes
spell the name of the refugee camp?
Ida, Y-I-D-A. Y-I-D-A.
Y-I-D-A refugee camp. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's far from Nuba.
Yeah. So, in Juba, South Sudan is way, way down south. It's a 2-hour flight.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, there's Juba down there. You can see it down at the bottom.
Yeah.
So everything we have has got to come that route. You can't buy anything locally, nothing. So if we run out of a certain drug, it can take months to get it up to us. Logistics are very complicated.
Is it fair to say that recognizing that so many different parts all over the world, but specifically in this region on the continent, that most of these areas are extraordinarily remote?
Yes.
So how did you end up in Nuba? Like, how did you not end up in Umsagura?
Well, I was in before going to Sudan, I was in Kenya for 7.5 years. I always wanted to be a missionary, and then I was studying engineering at Brown, and one thing led to another. And I said, let me go into medicine. That makes more sense if I want to do mission work. So went down that path, took a Navy scholarship to pay for medical school, went to medical school, did my Navy time, my training, my postgraduate stuff. And they said, okay, it's time to go and do mission work. So I went to Kenya. I was there for 7.5 years. But during the time I was in Kenya, I kept hearing about Sudan, how difficult it was in Sudan. People said, if you think Kenya is difficult, you should see what it's like in Sudan. So I said, okay, that sounds like a place I want to go to. I was looking for a challenge. I was younger, had a lot of energy. I thought, let me take this on now while I still have the strength. So by chance, I met a doctor who knew a bishop who was building a hospital in Sudan, and she connected me to the bishop. And that was 2002. From that point, it was 6 more years, 2002 to 2008. By that time, the hospital was built. They were ready to start. I came to Nairobi, bought all the equipment for the hospital, put it on an airplane, flew into Nuba Mountains, and got ready and started work.
So you built the hospital from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't build it myself. Other guys built it, but
I'm
yeah,
I'm confident you
right,
participated, but
right,
there were 4 walls and a roof, and you
right,
just picked that intersection versus another one because it's sort of the way the winds blew. Is that accurate?
right, right. I wanted to go to Sudan. I didn't even know about the Nuba Mountains. I just had an idea. I wanted to go work in Sudan.
Did
This
it
opportunity came up.
So I'm gonna ask you a whole host of questions about, like, the missionary side of things
Right,
because so, for context, my background is I went to grad school at Teachers College, and, I studied, international peace development, peace education, spent a lot of times writing about the consequences, still spend my professional time talking about the consequences of imperialism and colonialism. And I have largely been allergic to language like missionary work.
right.
When Mark Gerson, who is the chairperson of Africa Mission Healthcare, and Jay, if you wouldn't mind starting to drop some of those links into all the different places so followers could take a peek at it. Mark is a very, very observant Jewish man who's married to a phenomenal rabbi wife. And he was very adamant that the missionary work of the folks that the organization funds is identical to the missionary work of those who are just seeking to find peace, to be love and spread love. So I wrestled with that before I said yes to join the board for so long. But I'm really fascinated with your relationship of the idea of what missionary meant,
Right,
what it still means.
right.
Are there any places that it might make me I'm a Quaker.
Mhm.
I'm a Quaker on Wednesday. I'm a Jew on Fridays. I love me a good Baptist church on Sundays. So I sort of take a selection of all of it.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, the idea of a missionary has gotten painted with a bad brush at times. It's been tied in with colonialism and, I mean, all the history and stuff like that. I don't know. I think a lot of it was you had very good people working in these areas that wanted to help the people and work with them. And you also had some bad people that were greedy and took advantage of that and were not there for the sake of the people. Certainly, there were missionaries that were great advocates um, for the people they worked with and were the ones that kind of were able to turn their governments in favor of not exploiting people. You know, for me, mission work is simply showing the love of Christ to the people you serve. We are there to serve the people. We're there to serve God by serving the people there. And we're simply there to show the love of Jesus. You know, I'm Roman Catholic and we don't use this language that often, but, you know, I know that what Christ means to me, and I want to show that love to other people. It's pretty much as simple as that.
And then how does that manifest itself in your day-to-day work? I mean, does it I asked a colleague of yours, Dr. John, who works in the southern part of the continent, although I'm sure I consider his lane the entire continent. Um, and I said, "Well, do you actually talk about the stories, the Christian stories?" And he says, it often manifests itself when someone wants me to hold their hand and say a prayer, or when somebody is just looking for somebody to see and be seen. And I really appreciated that because can that shows up in all of our lives often.
Right. It's very subtle. It's not. I'm not a preacher, right? I don't get up and I don't, you know, get on the ward and start quoting scripture and saying you've got to convert. I mean, there's all this thing that people said, yeah, you know, they were the missionaries went and they forced conversions on people and they said, I'll only treat you if you convert to Christianity. It's just nothing like that. It's there's a saying that's been attributed to St. Francis, and I say this a lot. I don't know if St. Francis said it or not, but he said, preach always and sometimes use words. And I take
Oh,
that my mantra, as they say. And I try to remember that because it's confusing. It's what do you mean you're a missionary? Like you don't look like a missionary. What are you doing? It's simply showing the love of Christ by what you do. Um, and I think that speaks volumes. The people there mostly are Muslims. Most of our patients are Muslim. A lot of them now are displaced. There's probably 1 million displaced people within Nuba Mountains. They've never seen a Christian, let alone, I mean, they know about Christianity, what they hear from their imam, which is probably something very negative. So if I go to them aggressively or start quoting scripture, they might recoil a bit. Maybe like you would. I don't know. But I say, no, let me just approach it softly. They see how I'm acting. They know I'm a Christian. They see my cross on. They see us we have mass every morning right in the center of the hospital. It's not loud. Um, it's not offensive, but it's very quietly. We say our mass, we do our thing, and we go ahead. And I'm not in charge of things, but Christ is, and I hope that um, with the omnipresent love of Jesus, that is shown to the other people, to the people we serve.
So what is the relationship? And feel free to say I'm not going to talk about it for safety and for the best interest of your patients. I am curious, what is the relationship like with the Muslim patients that you're treating? Do you have very specific and strategic relationships with the imams? Like how does that work, or is everyone just the same as it would be in any corner anywhere in the world where we're just here to take care of each other?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're a doctor and they're sick, and you take care of them. We do what we can to take care of them, and we hope to think that as missionaries, we add a bit of extra love and care to what we do. Um, but it's not, yeah, there's not like open, debate or conversations with them about Islam or Christianity. It's much more subtle. It's just through our actions, we hope to show them what we're about.
And it hasn't been an issue for you
No,
at all?
at
Not
all.
in cemetery. That's
No,
really beautiful.
the Nuba are, Sudan is an Islamic republic. It's got Sharia law officially. Where we live, where our hospital is in rebel controlled territory. And the government that used to be in Khartoum, now in Port Sudan, doesn't really have any influence, doesn't have any control in our area. But the Nuba people for centuries they've been Christians, they've been Muslims, they've been animists. Nobody has an issue with that. There's not religious conflict within Nuba Mountains. In the north, there is. Christians are second-class citizens in the north, in Khartoum, Port Sudan, not Nuba Mountains. And the Esplay North, which is the rebel group that controls our area, they're very serious about maintaining that, about religious freedom. So it's not an issue in Nuba.
Here's some of the harder questions that I've pre-scripted, which I'm excited to hear. So what actually can you give the viewers? I don't know if you can give a little bit of like a 101 on the state of Sudan today, and maybe like what it's been like for you over the past 17 years, just from like a political headline, the chess pieces that have moved, so that I can what it means to treat people in war zones.
Right. So Sudan got independence from Britain, and there's a Anglo-Egyptian condominium controlled Sudan up till 1956. So January 56, they got independence. That was almost 70 years ago. So in those years, I think they've been in civil war for 56 years out of 70. So almost a continuous
Wow.
civil war. The long civil war was 1983 to 2005. Before that war finished, the war in Darfur started in 2003. The Nuba people were in that original civil war up to 2005. Then again, we were back in civil war in 2011. That kind of cooled off in 2017. Our relations were better with the North. South Sudan separated out 2011. Relations between Nuba and the North were better from about 2018. 2019, the dictator Omar Bashir was thrown out in a coup. He was replaced by a transitional government made up of 12 people, half military, half civilian. That lasted a few years, and they were doing quite well. Relations were better.
Yeah.
There was talk about peace between Nuba and the North. Things are moving ahead. And then in
If I might add, they were doing quite well because my understanding is that there was a couple of women who were part of either the second tier or the first tier of negotiations, that there was like women still at the table in some capacity, which is a constant thread on Land of Band.
Right. Well, I mean, it was going well during that time. Then in 2021, um, the right. So 2021, the transitional government broke up, and the military guys, which is Hemeti, who's head of the RSF, Rapid Support Force, the former John Jaweed, and Burhan, who's the head military guy, they did kind of another coup. They threw out the prime minister, took over control of the government, and led the government as a military government from 2021 to 2023. Now, April 2023, war breaks out between these two generals. So Hemeti, who still is the head of the Rapid Support Force, and Burhan, head of the army, start fighting each other. So each of these guys had their own force. And since April 2023, that new civil war has been ongoing. It's affected us a bit. I mean, we've had a lot of displaced people. There was some fighting in our region as recent as a few months ago, quite a bit of fighting in our area. The Esplay North rebels, which control our area, a few months ago, they joined forces with the RSF, with the Rapid Support Force. So politically right now, Esplay North has joined forces with the RSF, and they're against the government in Khartoum. That's kind of the current political landscape. And we're just seeing how it's all going to play out.
Do you have professional relationships with all of the folks who are making decisions on behalf of Nuba, or you just really are very, very, very passive?
I don't get much involved. I really try to stay away from the politics. I know the leadership of the Esplay North. I try to stay out of their political things. I don't. I talk to them about different issues if something comes up medically. But for politics, they don't really ask my opinion. I don't think it's my place really to tell these guys how to run things. So for the most part, I stay out of it. I
Do
try to
you
focus.
treat them?
Sorry,
Do you treat them?
I do.
Are
Yes.
you their doctor?
Yeah, I take care of them, and of course, anybody who shows up, we'll take care of.
Does the hospital and do you hold a particularly privileged spot in the region because of your currency, because of what it is that you offer people?
Uh, I think so. I think people respect us. It took time to gain people's trust and respect. It took a few years. I think after we got it, I think people do value the hospital, and they have quite a bit of respect for all of us. I think yes.
Does it feel like a place that, has the likelihood of some attempt to be protected?
No, not from the north. I mean, we were bombed twice in 2014 directly at the hospital. The surrounding area was bombed several times. So, um, in these fights, nothing much is sacred. So we don't really have nothing's off limits in these wars, unfortunately.
Was the hospital targeted, or was the hospital just a casualty of falling bombs?
No, it was targeted. I mean, it was targeted. Pretty sure.
Okay, I don't know how to transition away from that, but I'm just gonna try. So what does it mean to operate in a place where preventable diseases, but war injury are sort of both in the same hospital hallway? Do one of the things that I think about often is so many people who are stateside, so many people all over the world who are in their own personal trench, whether it's about educating, an elementary school teacher, taking care of the elderly, providing food, just caretaking in general. And it can feel really lonely. Um, but as you try to hold both, and I imagine the holding both is rooted in you're treating humanity, whether it's the measles or whether it's a war injury side by side. But do you ever feel lonely? Do you ever feel like where's the rest of us? Where's Jenna? Why isn't she here helping?
um, not no, not really. I think it's okay. I do. Yeah. Well, no, I do feel lonely, and because the problem is that whatever comes to your door, we have to try to handle. There's really no system of referral for all practical purposes. we really cannot refer anybody. I mean, once in a great while, we'll be able to get somebody out of Nuba for treatment. But for all practical purposes, we're kind of the last stop. There's nothing up in the north. All the health infrastructure has been destroyed. To our south, Juba really can't do anything more than we can do. So it's difficult because every disease you have shows up at our doors, and we have to try with our limited capabilities to try to care for them. So that can be, it's intimidating. It can be very lonely because we all have our limitations, what we know and what we can do. So um, it's it is, and it can be very frustrating.
How have you created boundaries and limitations for yourself? Like, how have you been like, I can't do this one. I don't know how to navigate this one. This is over my head or it's too late." How do you protect your stamina?
Well, I think I try to evaluate the situation. Like for a patient, for instance, if it's a disease or if it's an operation I'm not familiar with, I try to make a calculation. If I think, okay, I can research this, I can try to write to some friends to get a second opinion. I can look it up. If I think there's a better chance of that person having a good outcome, if I do the operation or give this treatment, then if that chance is better than if I do nothing, then I'll take that chance. If I think, look, I don't think I can help this person, and I think if I try it, I have a good chance of making things worse.
Right.
Just kind of call it quits. We'll counsel the family, talk to them, explain to them the problem, and then give them the option. If they want to try something else, they want to. I mean, it's again, referrals is theoretically there, but it's practically impossible. We focus on palliation and trying to still do what we can for it, not give up on them, but say, seeking aggressive treatment is probably not in your best interest. Let's focus on palliation and go down that road.
Have people who have suffered at the level that some of the folks have in Nuba, do they receive that information differently
Do they?
than do they receive the information about palliative care? I imagine there must be like a grace to the reception of that information. Not that it's not despair rooted and tragic,
Right.
but there's a sense like the West sells this myth of invincibility.
Yeah.
And
People
maybe
are,
people
people say, yeah, when you tell somebody, terrible news, we have a lot of liver cancer, which for all practical purposes in our setting and even in the US is pretty much untreatable. Somebody comes in with a tumor in the liver, do an ultrasound, examine them. And I'll say, look, I think you've got liver cancer. And we'll say, what can you do about it? I say, well, we'll treat you as best we can. We'll give you pain medicines. If you're vomiting, we can treat that. They'll say, well, is there any treatment for the cancer? We'll say, well, not really. They say, okay, so where's my medicine? People take things and they don't fight it. They don't get angry. They don't lash back at you. They're they accept what's happening. And I think some people look at that and say it's fatalism because they're not used to, their expectations are so low. They're not used to things getting better. But my take is I think it's more realism. They're more realistic. Not all of us are going to die.
Mhm.
And whether it's we die at 60 or we die at 80, we're all going to die at some point. And they've got a very realistic look like, hey, this is life. Life is hard. Let me do what I can while I'm here. When it's my time to go, it's my time to go. My wife often says that people often are relieved. Life is so hard. They're not depressed, but life is so hard that sometimes when they get the news that they have a terminal illness, they almost have a sense of relief that,
Wow.
okay, it's time to check out. And not that they want to die. I mean,
Yeah.
they have children, but they're very accepting of bad things. And in a way that we're not, our Western mentality, we don't accept bad news. People just take it and they accept it and they move on. And they have a very, very realistic look at life.
You talk about in the short 4-minute video, which we will play again at the end of this conversation after you roll off and go to sleep. Um, you talk about like the joy and the hope that exists in Nuba. Um, what does that kind of the question I want to ask, which I think is like ungraceful, and I fear I might like want to take it back like 3 months or 3 years or 30 years from now, but I've spent some time in Dalit villages, and by some, like a couple of weeks here and there. Spent some time in some really, really challenged parts of Haiti. And I'll never forget the joy on some of these kids' face uh, at just living, of being, of just like being approximate to each other. And you talk about there being so much joy and so much hope still,
Mhm.
even in some of these places of despair. But I'm wondering what the community around Nuba is like, how they take care of each other, not just in the hallways of your hospital, but what are the like essential lessons that those in Nuba can, is it selfish to say, offer us? Like what is it that we're missing that they might know?
Uh, I think simplicity is probably the main thing. That all the stuff that all the layers of things we have in the U.S. and our false, um, our false idea that we're invincible, as you said before, all that stuff just melts away. They just live life day to day. A sign of hope is having children, right? Like in the U.S., I
Mhm.
know, and a lot of places, people are terrified of the future. So people say, "I'm not going to have kids because I don't want them born into this world that's so crazy and this and that." And no, but they don't worry about these things. My wife's sister has 10 kids. She's one of like 15. Nobody's bothered by it. And they have kids, they carry on with life. They think, well, this is part of life. We have children, we go up, we go ahead, we do what we can. And there's hope in that. If you have a society where people are having kids, um, not worrying so much, I don't think they're being cavalier or irresponsible. I think it's just they think this is life. Part of life is having kids, raising kids, letting them work on the farm, take the good with the bad, and we go ahead. That's an incredible sign of hope that they're not so focused on themselves and what's going to happen to me. It's like, no, let's live life. Let's go ahead.
So what I'm hearing is it's the relationships and the simple things. I mean, I'm very Americanized, very capitalized. Like I'm abolitionist, like bring down capitalism, bring down borders, the whole thing. And then of course I'm like, oh, there's a sale at Bloomingdale's, like I am that person, hence the name The Land of And. The Land of And is like we hold all these contradictions as humans.
Right.
This is our job to navigate them. But it is so it must it must feel like such a gift for you to be able to bear witness to that
Yeah.
in ways that like I don't know many people who could really appreciate what a gift it is for you to be able to see that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a very, very simple, basic life. And it's definitely not for everybody, but I mean, I really I prefer that life. This is, it's too much. When I come back to the US, get overwhelmed with it's just too much of everything. Um,
You
like
mean like too
it's
many options? Like, but isn't there like, are you ever craving a slice of pizza or like a
well,
bagel?
no, not I crave cheeseburgers once in a while.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the one thing I crave, and good French fries. So if there's one
did
thing I
you
do
get
crave,
did you get a cheeseburger
I
since
had
you've been
two
home?
I had two cheeseburgers yesterday.
Okay, good.
For lunch and for dinner, I had cheeseburgers.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
I'm
I
getting
like
that,
to hear that.
finishing that need.
Yeah.
But besides
Satiating
that,
that for what, 4 years until
yeah,
you
I'm done. Yep, I'm done for the next few years now. I'm good. Besides that, there's not a whole lot I miss. I mean, I won't, I'll go for, a year without getting inside a vehicle, just not being inside a vehicle, let alone driving. And it's,
do you have a calendar though? Like, do you I mean that like 24/7. Do you sometimes know the difference between Sunday and Tuesday?
no, I do because there's something a little bit different each day. So I've got to pay attention to the days and then,
Okay.
scheduling, telling
Got it.
people when
So,
to
like,
come back.
Mondays, you do OB appointments, and Tuesdays,
Right.
you I got you. Okay,
Right.
so there is
There's,
some sort of rhythm to
yeah,
it.
there's some order to it, and each day's got its flow.
Yeah, understood. Gosh. How uncomfortable does it make you when people compare you to Jesus?
Pretty uncomfortable. Yeah, we're you can't do that because you're edging towards blasphemy. So yeah, I get a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, but you also get, like, adorably bashful.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, like, what are you supposed to do with it? But do you think that you have, um do you think you've walked the life that you were walked in his shoes? Do you think you've emulated what it is that he was teaching or how you interpret his words?
Um, the short answer is no. I certainly try. Um, I try a lot, and I realize how far I am. I'll get back to Saint Francis. You know about Saint
Please.
Francis, right? From Assisi.
Quaker on Wednesday, on Fridays, Baptist on Sundays.
We
Start
got
at
Saint
square
Francis.
one.
He's one of the great saints in the Catholic Church. He was around uh, late 12th century, and he's thought to be the saint that walked that most closely resembled Christ. And what he said was the closer he feels he gets to Christ, the further away he feels he is, because he knows more and more what it was like to be Christ. So I always remember that if I get too full of myself. And I feel the same thing. I think the longer this goes, and the more I try to walk in Christ's footsteps, the more I realize how far I am from him. I mean, all the usual problems are there. We're human beings. Um, so I think I'm still pretty far. Certainly trying and a pilgrim and on my journey, but still pretty far.
What's the distance filled with?
Uh, well, I wouldn't say infinity, but some light years away still.
If you were to describe oh gosh, I'm gonna start crying. If you were to describe that long, long path ahead of you between you and Christ with a word, a couple of words, what does it require of you? What would you fill it with?
Hope and joy, because the hope is that we know God is there. We know Jesus is there. We know he's there for us, and we know someday I'll meet him. And that when push comes to shove, when you've had a crappy day, when things look like they're falling apart, that's what I have to hold on to. And nothing can take that from you. Um, you know, the worst day we have in the hospital, people die, and it's so frustrating, and you're really upset with how things are going. That's guaranteed. And I always have that to look forward to. And in that is incredible joy, not happiness. I can be miserable and really, upset and worried and whatever, but there's joy, and that I know that's there at the end of the journey. And I've just got to keep pushing ahead and do what I think is right.
Is your belief ever tested?
Um, I mean, yeah, in a way it is not. It's when you have people die that you think is so senseless, and you say, why is this happening? Of course, you wonder where is God in all this? Um, but also, I think as a believer, I draw on that too. I say, I don't know why the person died. I just have to be honest. I have no idea why this kid died from whatever. And sometimes it was a mistake we made, and
Mhm.
you really feel awful. You think, God, why did you allow this to happen? You're omnipotent. And you realize, like, we just don't know. We're not God. And I think, especially as doctors, we try to play God, and we think we know everything, and we don't. We're we're still playing with very primitive toys, and we don't know everything. And I think we just have to accept that. Sometimes it's a matter of just acceptance. I don't know everything. I have no idea why this person died. I don't know why these people have to suffer like this. But let me just trust and hope that God is there in all these situations. Let me go ahead and do what I'm supposed to do what I'm assigned to do my duty as a son of God, and go ahead.
I'm gonna go back to my original question, one of my questions about, do you ever feel like bewilderment or even betrayal that with 8 billion people on this planet, that the Nuba Mountain still only has one surgeon?
uh, Well,
Do you want me to just answer for you? I'll just answer for
go
you.
ahead.
Yes, yes. And if you need a sign to join Dr. Tom, this is it.
I don't know. I've had visiting doctors come. They don't stay. They're short-term people. I think my only response to that is, yeah, this is the scenario we have, and we are working towards long-term sustainability. So let's get the local guys trained up. And the goal is to get one of the local Nuba doctors. We've got 2 of us now.
Will you tell us a little bit about the training program, if you don't mind?
Sure. So we've got a training program for clinical officers. A clinical officer is like a physician assistant or a nurse practitioner, similar kind of training and similar kind of job. It's a 3-year program. We just graduated the first class this past July. So we trained 19 clinical officers. They're now doing internship with us. We also have 29 midwives we're training.
Woo-wee!
Yeah, they'll finish this year.
Wow.
No, they'll finish 2026.
29 midwives?
That's gonna
How many?
That's gonna more than double.
That's huge.
Right. That's gonna more than double the number of midwives in the Nuba Mountains. More than double. By a lot.
Oh my
There's a handful of
gosh.
them now. That's gonna more than double the amount. More than double the number, not the amount. The next year in July, we're gonna start another intake of nurses and midwives. So this has been key, for what we're trying to do. We sent people out for training in the past, a lot. We sent nurses out, medical doctors, pharmacists, lab technicians, what have you. We've been sending them out for many, many years. Now we're training our own. We just started training medical interns. I've got one intern with me now. So, young lady finished medical school in the north. The school got disrupted because of the fighting. Was eventually able to finish in Port Sudan. Now she's doing her internship with us. She's from the Nuba Mountains, and we hope to take more over the next few years. So that's the future. If we can't get people from the outside, let's keep moving. We'll train our own. We'll get some of these guys sent out for specialty training, and we'll keep moving ahead.
Do you do other trainings for the community, like my husband's in youth sports? We're gonna what feels like 2 universes. I hate this juggle. I'm not gonna do a good job, but we're just gonna hold the end here.
Yeah.
My husband's in youth sports, and they're now starting to train young kids, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, on how to take care of each other while playing sports, but also how to identify when one of your friends needs something. Idea of hydration, to oh no, if somebody on the field actually collapsed, they're starting to train 8, 9, 10-year-olds CPR, which to me feels like a really empowering, I can help somebody in need. Do I think 8, 9, 10-year-olds are going to accurately diagnose cardiac issues? No. But I think there's a foundational message to it's my duty to show up for somebody else too. Is there appetite? Do you do that? I mean, 29 midwives is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I also think to myself, oh gosh, but I know we need 29,000. Not that we're having that conversation, but is there more capacity building? And again, going back to what it is that we are desperately needing here in the US, we need better community. We need to be friends with our neighbors. We need to help raise our children together. I had a wonderful nurse on she's a youth activist. She's based in Nairobi, and she says, I don't understand why why in America you guys pay for community. You guys pay for lactation nurses. You guys pay for babysitters. You pay for, and she's 100% right. She's 100% right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on a community level, we have so in addition to the hospital, we have what's called an outreach program. So we have 19 clinics that we pretty much run. At those, we have a team that goes out and visits those clinics. They do training. Each clinic has a group of community health volunteers at them. And our guys will go out, do training for those community health volunteers, And they'll go out to the villages and they train on all the basic things, proper hand washing to avoid spreading infectious disease. What are the warning signs that your kid's having problems? Like if he's, how do you determine if you think he might have a pneumonia? When do you bring the child to the clinic? And when he has diarrhea or he's coughing or difficulty breathing. So we do a fair bit of community level teaching and training. That's through our outreach program. And that's a big part of what we do. Like
Yeah.
that outreach program is really a big part of our overall mission, is to kind of, we're here at the hospital, people come to us, but we're trying to get out into the villages, deep into the villages, and take the healthcare out there to improve accessibility.
Got it. Okay. And I have a couple of two more questions so that we can get you to bed. Somebody in Twitch made a comment or a question about whether or not you invite folks to come and work at the hospitals, and is it fair to ask folks to come and do that in a war-torn area? Can you tell us a little bit more about the people you're training there?
Sure. So the people we're training are from the local area. They're all just, they're all Nuba guys we're training. People that come, like usually people will write to me and ask to come out. Like if you're not from Nuba. So I've had American doctors there, some Europeans. Normally they usually will write to me. They hear about the hospital, or they know somebody I know is some kind of connection with them. And we'll give them the full deal. This is what's going on. This is what the life is like. These are the risks. And, if you want to come out, you have to know the reality of our situation. Most times there is fine. You come out and spend a month, 2 months. You'll never hear a gunshot. That's usual. That's how it usually is. But we can't guarantee that. It is a war zone. But we're pretty upfront with people if they want to come out. Most people that come are people that have worked in other places in Africa, often in some difficult settings. So usually it's people that have worked in that kind of environment or something similar before.
Understood. It is definitely not out of left field.
We encourage that. If it's somebody that's, like, for instance, there's
Jenna's not invited, just so we're clear.
We have some doctors from India coming. There's a huge mission hospital there, started by an American female doctor in 1901. Now it's a massive 3,500 bed hospital.
Wow.
In Lower India, huge. So we're starting a relationship with them. And there was a couple that wanted to come out, husband and wife. And this was their first foray into Africa. And we were trying to discourage them. They're not coming because the wife, unfortunately, had to have surgery. So they're not coming. But we were trying to say, look, maybe it's better if you go somewhere else first, maybe to Uganda or Kenya, get a taste for what it's like in Africa, and then you come up here after that. But unfortunately, they're not coming anyway. But we try to really tell people the real situation.
Do you think, having traveled so much around the continent, do you think that you are on a spectrum of places of hard to digest realities? Do you feel like you're pretty extreme?
Yeah, I think compared to most places, there are others like it. And there are certainly other mission doctors that have been in war zones. I know guys that are in Angola. There's a guy coming from me now who was in Cameroon when the civil war there broke out. So there are others that have been through similar situations. Most places are pretty stable. Like if you're going to work in Kenya or Uganda, it's going to be fairly tame compared to what we have in Nuba. But
okay. Because Dr. Jenna is going to prescribe more hydration and rest specifically for you. I am also committed to helping you get my favorite hamburger in the city over the next 2 days, even though you've already had your quota.
Yeah.
I do have one final question for you.
Yeah.
And this is a friendly reminder to anybody who is watching. This is Dr. Tom Catena. He is the only surgeon for 3 million folks in the Nuba region of Sudan. As some of the comments pointed out, is conflict zone, and it is also a place full of people with extraordinary hope, joy, and stamina. And he is in the very infancy of walking in the footsteps of Christ, and has many, many lifetimes still to go, according to him, though the rest of us will maybe be the judge and jury on that. Okay, Tom. So when you imagine the day you are no longer the sole surgeon, or whether through successful training or your own mortality, what does success look like for you?
Well, success would be if we could be like other mission hospitals that I really admire. There are a couple in Kenya that have been there for many, many years and are thriving, teaching and carrying out with the mission, or like this hospital in India, which is, I mean, they're light years ahead of us. But if I could see it as an institution that continues on well after I'm gone, that continues on with the spirit, and continues as a teaching and referral hospital, then I would say, okay, good. I've done what I'm supposed to do. I'll be very satisfied.
Yeah. I feel like you've done that.
We're getting there, slowly but surely.
I will speak on behalf of Dr. Tom. He likely will never be satisfied with the heaven that he is building for all of us, that it sounds like most of us will never be able to bear witness to. Dr. Tom, I know you have a long week ahead of you. I will be crossing paths with you in person tomorrow night. I'm very excited. Those of you who are interested in contributing to Tom's work, there's been links presented in the chat pretty consistently. You will be able to see all of this information in our show notes, including a slightly longer, 20-minute long documentary on Dr. Tom. I think you are likely recalibrating what it means to be human, and you and I will never be able to understand what that algorithm looks like. But on behalf of so many of us who are not quite where you are, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenna. Appreciate it. Thanks for the
All
time.
right. You close the screen and go off, and I will see you tomorrow with a
Okay.
hamburger in hand, hopefully.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks
Bye,
very
Tom.
much. All right. Bye-bye.
Jay, can you play that 4-minute video one more time? Play that 4-minute video, and then we can wrap. Unless anyone else has any other questions, like inappropriate innuendo. I don't know if Jay is here or not. Oh, there she is. Can we screen and push my face away entirely? Hold on a second. We're playing with layouts.
This is a place that's been untouched by the West, like totally untouched by Western ideas, values, input. Totally different.
The Nuba Mountains are one of the most remote places in the world. It's between the Sahara Desert in the north and the Sud, or the world's largest swamp, in the south.
677 سنة جدود بتاعنا لما حكموا أفريقيا ذاته قويين. اكتبوا قولوا في حياة هناك حياة كا الناس بتاعنا تعبانين لكن نحن أدوية ما في.
They've had 30 or more years of war, so most adults have essentially spent their whole life in some phase of starting, during, or recovery from war.
When we first opened in March 2008, the needs were tremendous. Getting supplies in here is extremely difficult. Maintaining staff morale is extremely difficult. Maintaining the energy to keep taking care of people. There'll be 50 or 100 people show up at a time. These people have been pretty badly traumatized, and they've had a history that I just cannot relate to. I mean, trauma for generations. People here are survivors. No matter what you throw at them, they'll be knocked down, they'll get back up again, and they'll find a way to keep going ahead.
لأنه ترتم هو كويس هسه بدأت هو كبير خلاص في العمر لو في تاني دكتور تومي اثنين أو ثلاثة يكون كويس.
Like all of us, we have a limited lifespan, and he did not want to just have his life be committed to treat as many people as he can and then have it go away. He wants his legacy to be this fully functioning, self-sufficient, sustainable mission hospital.
Let's get out of survival mode. Let's start really thriving and moving forward. Let's think about starting our own training program. Start your own training program. When they finish, you've got a really reliable pool of people to choose from to carry on with your work.
الحياة بتغير. ودكتور توم لو ذاته لو علمهم تعليم كويس يكون كويس.
I think the Nuba Mountains are actually a very hopeful place for the future.
Not only are we surviving, but we are a leader in healthcare for not only Nuba Mountains, but for all of Sudan. It's a real partnership. We can't do anything here without people's help. The way I look at it, and I think the way certainly AMH looks at it, I would see the donors as being somebody that kind of throws money at us. I see all these people as entering a partnership with us here and with the people of Nuba Mountains. Come and join us in this struggle, in this partnership. Be together with us. Help us out. We are working night and day to provide a good level of healthcare here. Come join us in that adventure.